Westside vlog with L'Arche Portland. This is Jessica Bridges, and I'm the community coordinator for the Westside of L'Arche Portland. And our last vlog was May 29th, so a little over a month ago. Today is July 8th, 2019. And some big things have happened in the past month for the west side of L'Arche Portland. The big thing that I'll get to is that we've opened applications to live in our west side house. So that is a huge piece, but we've also been living daily life and connecting with Big L'Arche, so L'Arche Beyond L'Arche Portland. So I'll tick through a few updates and then offer a little bit more word about applying to our new house. One thing that has been a constant is that we keep having invitations to share about L'Arche and to connect, network, partner with various faith communities, schools, that kind of thing. So a group of us went to Beaverton First United Methodist Church on June 2nd and offered a L'Arche Presents more of in a sermon context during worship. So Eric and I co-preached, and Eric, our development manager, and we had a good crew of East Side core members and assistants join for that to share about L'Arche. Volunteers and other kind of partnership connections. We hosted a week. There's a Jesuit high school group from Sacramento, California, who has been coming up for at least 6 years, if not longer, for a week every summer, for what they call an immersion trip. So kind of like a mission trip, service trip. And we collaborated in a few different ways. We had our most recent work party for the Westside House in June, and that was great. We had a good handful of folks and really knocked a lot of good things out because the house still has some work that needs to be done. Painting that interior trim keeps going, and then we had some wires to cover up. Some things that I wasn't totally sure how they were going to happen happened magically, and with expert skill and time and energy from volunteers. In terms of outreach and ways that we're sharing about ourselves in the wider community, we had a film screening of Summer in the Forest, which is a film about Jean Vanier and L'Arche in Trolly, France, as well as L'Arche in Bethlehem. And so Summer in the Forest, and that was hosted on the west side at Cedar Mill Library. So a cool west side outreach event for us, and had a little Q&A panel. Folks from the east side came over to share about how L'Arche is portrayed in Trolly, France, and Bethlehem. How is that different or similar to L'Arche in Portland? So that was a fun event, and partly because there were a lot of folks that I hadn't met yet, people who were just engaging with L'Arche for the first time. So that always has a fun new energy to it. And to be continued with that is we're going to be showing the film again. There's a winery called Lady Hill Winery just outside of town, but to the west outside of Portland. They have a monthly film series, and they would like for us to share Summer in the Forest in that space. So that film screening will be August 17th, so in a little over a month from now. And that's a Saturday evening, so it'll be kind of a late night event. So excited about continuing to share L'Arche in that way. To go out just a little bit, regional gathering for the Western region, we gathered in Spokane, Washington, with our 5 communities that are a part of the Western region: Spokane, Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, and Wavecrest, which is in Orange, California, as well as 3 emerging communities in Fort Collins, Colorado, San Francisco Bay Area, and San Diego. and celebrated, reunited, shared stories together. And then even bigger picture, L'Arche International, we are launching a new process to rewrite our international charter. So that's been a document that we've had a written charter since 1993, and that the process of writing that was really mostly European or maybe European and American folks writing that, and folks without intellectual disabilities who wrote that. And so this is an effort to really expand and break open and have a more inclusive, collaborative process to portray what we're about as L'Arche internationally. Parts of our life that are kind of bigger picture of L'Arche Portland and bigger picture of L'Arche around the world that we've been engaged in. In Portland, we kicked off our spiritual life team. We've had spiritual life committees or different groups like that have helped to tend spiritual life in the past, but we've lately not had a group specifically focused on spiritual life. So that's just feels like an important piece of our life together as L'Arche Portland right now, is that we're reinvigorating, restarting some focus on our spiritual life. In previous vlogs, I've been sharing that we've been applying for a new Medicaid endorsement called Community Living Support to be able to provide community living support. And we have been approved. So we're working on next steps that happened more quickly than we expected, which is great, that approval piece, but then there's some next steps of setting up our infrastructure to be able to offer that. It's not something that we're saying you can apply to receive community living supports from us right now, because we're not ready to yet, but that is continuing to develop and really exciting. And then in terms of our application to share life in our homes, that we have sent out an email announcement to our listserv, and as well as to anybody who has inquired in the past. And the openings that we have right now, just to be really clear, are we are both opening up spots to live and share life in our Westside home. And we also have an opening in our Nehalem house on the east side. So this has felt like a nice opportunity to offer those alongside of each other. So on the east side, that's one opening for an adult with an intellectual disability in what's considered adult foster care. That's the box that we live in on the east side for our two homes on the east side. And so one opening. In Beaverton, we have an empty house, and we have space for 3 to 4 people with adults with intellectual disabilities and 3 to 4 adults without intellectual disabilities to share life together. And the big piece that is unique about the Beaverton house compared to how we've done L'Arche in the past in Portland and most of the United States is that there won't be a paid caregiving relationship among housemates. So folks with intellectual disabilities, some ways to imagine who that might be. An adult with an intellectual disability living in the Westside house might not need paid support. We don't want to necessarily assume that everyone needs paid support if they don't actually need it. Or they might need paid support, and they might contract with an agency to meet those needs for paid support. So that could be categories that we're aware of that could function well with that is community living support, which is, you'll note that's the category that we're seeking to be able to provide support but aren't ready yet. So contracting with an agency for community living support, supported living, maybe there's a private pay situation, maybe there's another box of care and support that we're not aware of yet. But generally contracting with an outside agency and kind of paying hour by hour for those supports. And then folks without intellectual disabilities living in the house could be an adult with some other paid gig source of funding and meaningful work that is not with L'Arche. It could be a L'Arche assistant who actually maybe supports our Eastside core members, so is kind of a live out assistant because they don't live with their housemates, but supports across the river. Could be someone who's retired, could be a student, could be someone who's on disability, but not for intellectual disability, maybe for mental health, maybe for blindness or deafness or some other disability. And so just to offer like a snapshot of that in the way that housemates will interact and support and be in relationship is in what we call a natural support kind of relationship. So an unpaid, mutually supportive relationship, housemate, community mate. One thing, some kind of like takeaways and offering from as I'm receiving and responding to inquiries, some things that might be helpful. One thing, if you're a person with an intellectual disability or helping someone with an intellectual disability to navigate and discern whether this might be a good fit, often there's questions about like, will my current situation be able to translate to this new situation? And I encourage people to talk with their services coordinator, as well as to reach out to maybe the developmental disability office in your county. But those will be some great experts to have on your side. Also, we are in the process of rolling out some frequently asked questions, answers to frequently asked questions, some other accessibility helps to help yourself and other people in your life imagine if this is a good fit. Planning to have some info sessions. And we're also still, as far as timeline, we're still actively getting the word out, announcing, recruiting, wanting to be really creative and expansive in the way that we're recruiting. And then I'm going to be the person sending you an email back for the most part if you're requesting an application or inquiring with other questions. So receiving, responding to inquiries, and planning for most of the month of July to just be receiving applications. We're not reviewing applications yet. Probably August 2019 to start even just reviewing applications and start thinking about setting up interviews. In the meantime, ways to keep learning about L'Arche Portland. Want to highlight this Saturday, July 13th at noon in Overlook Park, which is in Northeast Portland. We will have our annual community picnic. This is a time to just be together, be getting to know people who are part of L'Arche who are interested in L'Arche, used to be a part of L'Arche, and this is the one thing that they come back to every year. So from noon to 2:30 on Saturday. So just a fun time to be outside together, and a way for you to keep learning about L'Arche if you're on that journey. And I think that's it.